Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is flashing a new warning signal that we need to pay attention to, along with other signals confirming in the short term and the price rejecting from my exact price target, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and what that means for Bitcoin moving forward, while Ethereum is also flashing new signals that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just giving you a quick update on the Bitcoin ETFs, because just yesterday we saw another massive net inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs, because just yesterday we saw a net inflow of nearly 700 million US dollars. And so if we're looking at the breakdown, we can see Bybit, which is the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, they alone just yesterday bought nearly $600 million worth of Bitcoin. And Fidelity was the second biggest inflow yesterday with around a $280 million inflow. But basically, the entire Fidelity inflow was essentially offset by the outflow from Grayscale. Once again, we saw another outflow from Grayscale of nearly $280 million, which basically means Grayscale dumped around $280 million worth of Bitcoin on the market. But overall, when we're looking at all of the inflows and outflows for yesterday, basically adding up all of the inflows and subtracting that Grayscale outflow, we're left with a net inflow at the end of the day of 683.7 million US dollars. And so because of that, of course, yesterday we did end up seeing the highest daily candle close in Bitcoin's entire price history, with a new all-time high in the price of Bitcoin with this new inflow coming into the Bitcoin ETFs. But that was yesterday. When it comes to today's numbers, of course, we won't find that out until tomorrow. So I'll keep you up to date on what's happening with the Bitcoin ETFs each day when they're trading here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos. But anyway, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, and right now on the weekly Bitcoin chart, obviously the larger trend at play has not changed. We're still within a much larger bullish trend, forming significant higher lows and higher highs in the price of Bitcoin. And so ultimately, if you want to know more about this chart right here, then watch my last 1 to 2 videos here on the channel if you want to know about future price targets and things like that. But if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, this is the Bitcoin price action right here in the candlesticks, and this red line right here is the DXY, also known as the US dollar index. And in case you're new to all of this, basically all you really need to know is when the US dollar index is bullish, that is usually bearish for Bitcoin and crypto, and vice versa. If the US dollar index or DXY is bearish, that is usually bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. And obviously, as Bitcoin and really the overall crypto market has been pumping to the upside over the last couple of months, we've seen bearish price action in the DXY, which makes sense. With the DXY bearish, Bitcoin is bullish. But if we're looking at what is happening today, just today, we're actually seeing a slight move back to the upside. Obviously, this is zoomed all the way out on this chart, but we are seeing a little spike to the upside in the DXY, which at least for today is technically bearish for Bitcoin and crypto, which is perhaps one of the reasons as to why we're seeing a slight pullback, just a bit of bearish price action in the short term for Bitcoin and crypto. But obviously, once again, this chart right here is zoomed out, looking at the larger bullish trend. And of course, during the larger bullish trend, we can see short-term bearish price action here and there. And so on a smaller time frame, this might look like a larger bearish move, but when we're really zooming out on the larger time frames, we can see that this is just some slight short-term bearish price action, which is very normal even during a bullish trend. And so as always, it's important to understand the difference between the different timeframes. Once again, on the larger timeframes, for the larger trend at play, I'm still extremely bullish. But on smaller timeframes, of course, we can see short-term bearish price action during a larger bullish trend. And with that being said, taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, and right now we have one confirmation signal for this new bearish divergence here on the 8-hour time frame. Because obviously, as you can see here, and as I've mentioned recently on the channel, we do have higher highs in the price of Bitcoin, while the RSI on the 8-hour time frame is forming lower highs. And now with this latest 8-hour candle close as of recording this video, this has now officially confirmed that lower high in place in the 8-hour Bitcoin RSI with a decent drop in the RSI. And so once again, this is one confirmation signal actually confirming the new bearish divergence. And technically speaking, a bearish divergence means that we're losing bullish momentum, at least in the short term. And so oftentimes these bearish divergences, they usually play out in the form of either choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback in the short term, before potentially continuing that larger trend later on. Because if we're taking a look at the last couple of examples of bearish divergences on the 8-hour time frame, we saw one right here, and that played out in the form of a short-term pullback before continuing higher. And if we're taking a look at the last example before that one, that was all the way back here in around mid-February, and that played out in the form of choppy sideways price action before heading higher later on, about a week or so later. And so once again, just in the short term here, this could potentially play out. So just keep that in mind, especially over the weekend when the Bitcoin ETFs are not trading. That is when we're likely going to see more of these type of patterns actually play out, perhaps over the weekend. But ultimately, I'm still very bullish on the larger trend at play. So once again, this is only temporary, is what I'm seeing in the short term here. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, obviously the price of Bitcoin pretty much exactly hit my technical price target that I've been saying for around half a week now. Since all the way back down here, I've been saying that we have a short-term price target, which is sitting at around 73.4K. And as you can see right here, the price of Bitcoin went pretty much exactly to my price target, only a couple $100 higher. And then we've now seen a rejection from that exact price target that I've been saying for many days now on the channel. And so as of right now, that is the short-term resistance area to pay attention to, basically in between 73,000 to 74,000. And in case you're new to all of this, you can think of resistance as where the price could struggle going to the upside. Basically, that's where a lot of people are interested in selling Bitcoin, and vice versa, looking at support, that is where the price can somewhat struggle going to the downside, where basically a lot of people are interested in buying Bitcoin. And this area of support that the price of Bitcoin is actually running into right now as of recording this video is sitting in between around 68,500 to 70,000. And so that is definitely important support to pay attention to in the short term. And so once again, we could likely bounce from that level. And honestly, I won't be surprised if we somewhat stay range bound, at least in the short term here. But ultimately, if we continue to see those massive net inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs, then soon enough, we will end up seeing the continuation of that larger bullish trend, because there's only so much Bitcoin to go around. And so once again, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. Here in the short term, yes, we're seeing a bit of short-term bearish price action and a rejection from that target that I've been saying for a while now on the channel. But ultimately, when you zoom out to larger time frames, that short-term bearish price action is almost non-existent when we're looking at the bigger picture here. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at just the 1 hour time frame, as we can see right here in the 1 hour Bitcoin RSI, this is actually entering into oversold territories. And if we're looking at the last couple of times where the 1 hour Bitcoin RSI actually got close to oversold territories, that happened very close to a local low in the price of Bitcoin. And vice versa, when the 1 hour Bitcoin RSI and also the 45-minute Bitcoin RSI entered into overbought territories, that is when we were actually at a local high in the price of Bitcoin just before a bit of short-term bearish price action. And so once again, due to this on the 1 hour time frame and due to the price running into this area of support, I would not be surprised if we basically slow down that short-term bearish price action very soon, potentially around this area. And once again, as I said earlier, due to this bearish divergence, I would not be surprised if we basically consolidate sideways, possibly over the coming days. And especially if we don't really see any massive inflows on Thursday or Friday, then we could potentially see this bearish divergence play out over the coming weekend. And once again, potentially next week, if we're seeing those massive inflows into the spot Bitcoin ETFs, we could end up seeing the continuation of that larger bullish trend. And if you want to trade any of these short-term moves in the price of Bitcoin, whether we're going up or down, you can use longs or shorts to make money in either direction. And personally, I take trades just like that over on Bybit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it will take you to this page right here where you can actually claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well claim this free airdrop position to enter a long or a short, whatever you choose. And once again, I'll leave a link to this page in the description down below and in the pinned comment. But if you cannot access Bybit, or if you cannot KYC on Bybit for whatever reason, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And also right now, there is an extension on that Apple Watch Series 9 giveaway happening over at Bitflex. If you use the link down below this video, you can actually enter that giveaway if you want to. And so once again, if you're trading crypto anyway, you might as well check that out. Links down below this video. And now what's very interesting is if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, just recently over the last one day, we actually saw that short-term pullback to liquidate a lot of positions slightly to the downside, which was sitting at around 71.4k, and we had a little bit lower than that. But what's very interesting is if we're taking a look at other levels of liquidity right now that we've already taken out that downside liquidity, we can actually see a lot of liquidity sitting at around 74,000, more specifically in between around 73.9k to 74.3k. And so this is a potential reason in the short term to expect a bit of a bounce back up towards that level, which is why, once again, I would not be surprised if we see a bit of choppy sideways price action, basically somewhat range bound here in the short term, as the price is playing out this bearish divergence on the 8-hour time frame, but is running into important support and still has liquidity to the upside, which could result in the price somewhat bouncing like this. And so once again, that is the situation right now in the short term. We're losing a bit of bullish momentum in the imminent short term, but we have not confirmed any larger bearish trend reversal on the larger timeframes. And something similar can be said for Ethereum here on the weekly time frame. Obviously, we're still trending in the bullish direction, forming significant higher lows and higher highs on the weekly time frame, despite what happens on smaller time frames. And so ultimately, the next important level of resistance and really the next major price target for the price of ETH on the larger timeframes is the old all-time high, which is sitting at around 4.8 to 4.9k. And as for significant support, I would expect significant support right here. If we actually saw a further pullback, I would expect support in between around 3.4 to 3.5k. Once again, if we see a pullback, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to go there. It's just I would expect support in that price range if we see a pullback to that area. And now if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, what we are seeing right now is a bit of a loss in bullish momentum here on the daily time frame, with the MACD actually moving towards a possible bearish cross. And now, as of recording this video, we have not yet confirmed any bearish cross here in the MACD. It's just we're moving towards a possible bearish cross. And so ultimately, just in the short term, similar to the bearish divergence for Bitcoin in the short term, this is telling us that we're losing a little bit of bullish momentum as of right now. And so essentially, we're slowing down from all of that bullish price action, but we have not actually confirmed any larger bearish trend reversal. And this is actually great to see, believe it or not, in the short term, because this is helping to finally reset the RSI, potentially finally out of those overbought territories. And basically, if the RSI reset, that technically gives us more room to the upside later on. And in case you're wondering, as for my trading strategy right now, I am still long Ethereum. I'm still in that Ethereum long position that I entered all the way back down here and shared here on the channel all the way back down there. And once again, I'm just leaving that position open with no exact take profit or price target. And what I'm simply doing is moving my stop loss slowly further into profits as the trade moves further into profits. And so by doing that, I'm not capping any upside potential. I'm not closing the trade too early before another major pump, but at the same time, I'm also protecting myself from any major downside risk. And once again, if you want to take trades just like that to maximize your profits in crypto, then you might as well check out those links down below this video to those exchanges if you want to get those extra bonuses or get those giveaways or airdrops. And if we're zooming into the short term, looking at the 4-hour ETH to US dollar chart, right now the price of ETH has finally broken back below this previous area of temporary support, which was previous resistance. And this was sitting in between around 39.50 to 4K. And now that the price has broken back below that area, I would now expect resistance once again around that area. And we have also found new resistance right around here with two recent rejections from around 40.70 to 4.1k, basically very close to 4.1k is currently acting as important short-term resistance. And as for important short-term support, we have this price range right here, which is sitting in between around 37.50 to just above 3.8k acting as support. And below that area, let's just say if we actually saw a break back below around 37.50, then in that case, our next important area of support, at least in the short term, is sitting in between around 3.5k to 35.50. But once again, between now and then, we do have this important area of support, which at least as of right now, at the time of recording this video, the price of ETH is currently bouncing from. And so ultimately, similar to Bitcoin in the short term, I would not be surprised if we see a bit of choppy sideways price action for the price of ETH just in the short term here, before ultimately continuing the larger bullish trend higher later on at some point. And so that's why I'm just simply leaving my long position open. If I thought we're definitely about to see a major crash, obviously I'll just close that position. But either way, even if we do see a major crash, which I don't necessarily expect, but even if we do, I am protected by using a stop loss. And so that's why it's also important to understand risk management when it comes to trades. Even if you're really bullish or really bearish, always use risk management because obviously anything can happen. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the weekly time frame right now, while Bitcoin and Ethereum have actually been pulling back in the short term, we're seeing a further breakout to the upside in the price of Solana, which is something that I've talked about recently on the channel. Because obviously over the last half a week or so, I've been talking about this breakout above 140 with that weekly candle close slightly above $140. And so due to that, obviously over the last half a week or so, I said the next major price target for the price of Solana is simply the old all-time high, which is sitting at around 250 to 260. And so right now the price is continuing towards that price target as expected, and in case we saw any short-term pullback, I would expect significant support in this price range in between 120 to 140. And obviously in terms of the larger trend at play here on the weekly time frame, we are still looking extremely bullish on the larger time frames in terms of the larger trend at play, as I've actually been saying since all the way back down here, since the breakout from this bullish ascending triangle pattern. And if you want to actually know how to take these trades in the price of any crypto to maximize your profits in crypto, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can long or short crypto to make money if the price is bullish or bearish, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit in choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.